All right. Thank you so much for being here and for taking part in the Refuse to Use program this year. This is the first session of 2. I'm going to have a second session at 6:30. So hopefully we have robust attendance at that as well for individuals who weren't able to make this event right now. So we're going to briefly go through the way the program has been and what we are sort of going to focus on this year, requirements by students, events by month, and then what is required of you all as representatives of the RTU program. And then we'll have time for questions at the end. And if you, again, have any questions that come out during the presentation, please feel free to raise your hand. Devin is in the room with me, so she'll just sort of shout it out. Or you can feel free to put it in the chat, or there will be time at the end for you to ask any questions. Cool? All right. Please hold on. There we go. All right. So history of the program. The collaborative has been around for those of you who don't know. Many of you actually on this call are new reps this year, and thank you so much for taking on this this endeavor. The collaborative has been around for over 20 years, and the Refuse to Use program, which started as a collaboration with Stratton Mountain and then grew to Magic Mountain, Viking Nordic, and now back again is Riley Rink. To create an incentivized substance misuse and asset building education class. And so in the past, these really have focused on substances of misuse. And so the lessons would be about the substance, kind of similar to programs that we've seen in the past. And what has happened over the last couple of years is that we've really transitioned to a more holistic approach, which includes those asset building, self-efficacy, refusal skills, how to, say no in the moment. And we're really interested in that moment. Are our youth in our community armed enough with the skills necessary to be able to make healthy decisions when they are in that critical moment? And so really focusing this year on a combination of that substance misuse education, which is super important, data-driven, evidence-based, non-scare tactic lessons that really sort of introduce our youth to what is happening to their brain when substances are used and misused well before your prefrontal cortex is developed at 26. And so we also have included asset building classes as well. And so this year, Kickoff is going to take place September 26th. I sent out an email earlier about that today. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And registration is closed October 10th. And scholarships as well are due to me by October 10th. Scholarships should be sent directly to me, and I will handle them in a confidential manner. I've already sent out information about event number 2, which will take place in October in person, hopefully, if it is at all possible, at your own school with your cohort that you are in charge of. So if you are a rep from Dorset, you would be working with 7th and 8th grade together, right? If you are a Leland and Gray rep, you would be working with a grade specific grade. If you're a BBA rep, you would be working with a grade specific grade. So it just really depends on whether or not you are in a combined middle school situation, or if you are actually just addressing certain grade levels. Now, Karen, you sent out an email earlier today about grade levels being able to work together. That is absolutely fine. If developmentally appropriately, we want to have 6th and 7th grade together, that is totally fine, or 7th and 8th and 6th goes by themselves. Totally fine for that to happen. Totally fine for that to happen. And this program traditionally has been 6 months of the year, September to February. And we are slowly transitioning the program to have that be the critical time period, right? During our outdoor ski, board ride, whatever season, but then we are also extending that programming to 12-month thinking, so that we are not only providing the critical substance misuse and asset building lessons during the ski season, but that we are also insisting that our community members, these would not be required for your RTU pass, right? Your 5 events or your 5 events. But what we are offering is free and available to the community lessons that would offer these similar lessons throughout the entire year. And we started that last year with an opioid presentation in May, which unfortunately fell during a very critical period when opioid deaths were on the rise. And unfortunately, they continue to be on the rise, especially in our sort of Bennington County area. And 100% of the opioid overdoses in the last month were because of fentanyl. And so we found that it was critically important to get that information out in real time. So we were able to have a presentation in May. And this would not be a requirement of you all. It is just to say that if this is something that sparks your interest, if this is something that you are passionate about, we would love to get you on board for that 12-month thinking of RTU. But your sort of work and focus is from now until the end of February. All right, so here is where the outlines of what is required is broken down by school. And so you can see all of the schools that are at the middle school level. Leland and Gray starts in 6th grade because they do not have a GIST program. And so the way we were able to mitigate that unfortunate situation was to offer Leland and Gray students at the 6th grade level passes. That is not something that is available for the other schools yet. We are working on it if you get asked that question. And then the high schools that are involved are over on the other side of the screen. New thing this year, if you are, and I guess, Karen, this only really pertains to your sort of knowledge on this call. If you are a senior, you have some options for your RTU programming. You can do the 5 events as it is, which is totally reasonable. BBA students engage in a long-term research project and then final sort of presentation. Or seniors, if they are interested in substance misuse, asset building, psychology, any of it, they can work directly with me to help plan the substance misuse, asset building, refusal skills lessons that will take place in November, December, and then February. So those reps that are senior reps, so that is John Paul, Jason, and Corey Stark, they're going to be able to offer those options to their seniors if they want them. It's just an option. Most, if all the seniors want to just do the 5 lessons as is, totally fine. But we wanted to offer them the chance to have some agency over their RTU experience. Kickoff. It is going to take place virtually. We really tried, and Karen really tried at Leland and Gray to do something in person. I think we were all a little bit more hopeful than, I don't know if it was naivete or what, but I thought we'd be in a different spot by now. And so last year, Refuse to Use's program was completely virtual. And so because of direct rep feedback that we received from the reps who were doing the job last year, we knew that we needed to have some kind of in-person and virtual experience. And so we transitioned to a virtual kickoff. For those of you who don't know Benjamin Lerner, he's a pretty inspirational fellow who is a local resident and has a weekly radio show called Clean Jams on WEQX. And he did a presentation last year during our resilience focus, which was a really powerful testament to his experience, strength, and hope as a person in recovery, but also sort of the power of music. And so what he has agreed to do this year during our presentation from 4 to 6 on September 26th is he is not only going to revisit his story in a different way, he's also commissioned a song for the collaborative and the Refuse to Use program this year. Yeah, Michael.
So is that Saturday the 25th or Sunday the 27th?
Sunday the 26th.
Oh, Sunday's the 26th. Okay. It
Sunday
says Saturday somewhere in there.
Oh, well, I will make sure.
In the heading, it says it.
Okay. Does it? Oh, great. Okay. I will change that around.
Okay. Thanks.
It's September 26th,
okay.
Sunday from 4 to 6. And I will send out more communication on that as well. Apologies for the Saturday mix-up. And it's just going to be a really nice little experience. Not much is going to be required of families. They can just tune in and listen. But one of the things that was really powerful about last year was we were able to, through the events and the surveys, responses, artwork that we asked for, we collected an abundance of beautiful work, artistic expressions about what resilience means, about their RTU experience. And so we've created a Reflections on Resilience slideshow that we are going to just share with our families at the beginning of the performance, and then Benjamin is going to take over. The way that our scholars are going to demonstrate comprehension, or that they attended, is just a short series of questions that will then be handled by us on our end. So we will handle attendance for the Refuse to Use kickoff on our own, as the collaborative. You will not be responsible for that. All right. Any questions so far about kickoff? And you just need to heavily promote it. I will have a press release out tomorrow. And then also posters will be created that we will send out in an email blast. And I've already sent an email to all registered RTU participants as well. So then our event number 2, which thank you to those of you who have gotten your dates into me. I can either be there to help support you, or you can do this completely on your own. I fully intend on having a Google presentation lesson plan sort of curated for you to take a look at, for you to use. Or again, if you would like me to come in and help you facilitate this lesson, totally fine. This is going to serve as event number 2 to take place, during the month of October. So anytime out of school time preferred. That's part of our grant work, that these lessons take place out of school time. So before school, after school. If that is an impossibility, if that is something for whatever reason that is really not going to work, please let us know and we will absolutely figure things out. Like if you have a study hall period or a flex period, and really that's the only time that you can meet, please just let us know and we will work with you. But that time should be about an hour and a half. And during that time, you are going to go over some very specific things. And just to take a look at, most of you are new reps this year, which I'm super grateful for because you're coming into this with a fresh eye. But over the past couple of years, and Karen, this is gonna, I don't know if you've taken a look at this, but oh, someone's honking their horn. But we had a pledge that really was very policy driven for a while. And it sort of stipulated that students could not use or use substances. If they did, they would lose their pass, right? And so everyone was getting together and they were saying these words all together, and it was a very transactional experience. And so what we did this year, based off of the feedback from last year, working directly with students, is we completely rewrote the pledge. And so not going to read it or belabor it, but really focusing on the skill of asking for help, of if you make a mistake, engaging in that restorative justice practice of trying to do better, and asking for resources. And then the parent pledge included, I will drive my student to and from dialogue night, right? And those are policy driven things, right? That's all in the policies. It's all in the policies. You have to check, right, that you will adhere to the policies, which is transactional. And so we really whittled the parent caring adult pledge down to, I will support because they're all of our kids, our youth, and encourage them in their decision to make healthy choices. That's it. That's all. That's all, because everything else is in the policy. And again, we are going to revisit the pledge each year because the pledge needs to be reflective of the needs of our community. And we will respond in that way, sort of on a yearly, bi-yearly, whenever we need to revisit the pledge, we'll take a look at it again. But this is a huge, huge deal, and something that might be of interest to go over, because the pledge has sort of been a little bit contentious, right? Because there would be people who we would know were part of the program who may or may not be rumored to you, and we don't operate in rumors. That's not what we do. But the pledge needs to be something that is inspirational, not something that is going to, diminish or demean or make people feel less than. So again, we also have some other things to go over, an explanation of the guidelines of the program. And so this year we're going to be focusing on the 40 developmental assets. And I've included links to that later on in the presentation. But really what it's focusing on is those external and internal things, supports that help youth make healthy decisions for themselves and their future. And so we'll go over some ideas for that in just a little bit. But really and truly what we are focusing on this year, and the feedback that we're getting in the registrations, is that caring adults, both caring adults and youth, are clamoring for those coping skills, those anxiety reducing sort of things that their youth can do. And without me even sort of prompting, a lot of our caring adults are bringing up that moment, right? And it doesn't even have to be about substance use or misuse, but getting in the car with someone who's not a great driver, or if they're lying about where they're going instead of just being honest about it, right? What is it in that moment that makes it so we have some youth who are able to do it and others who are not? How can we mitigate that? So yeah, Michael, did you have a question? No, okay, great. All right, moving on. All right, so event number, I'm sorry, I can't, three, external developmental assets. Okay, so this is very text heavy, I apologize. So this is to take place in November and December. So I've broken it up by the academic calendar. So November up to Thanksgiving break, and then after Thanksgiving break to the New Year holiday break. So within that time frame, you could consider, if you would like to, remember reps, it would be awesome if you are able to have at least one lesson that falls either in this time frame or the February timeframe that sort of falls underneath this external developmental asset framework. And so I've broken it down here for you to take a look at. But, you know, the lessons could be something as simple as a community scavenger hunt to sort of learn where resources are in our community, right? So in Manchester, I can think of the library, UCS, and other support places and community stakeholders that we have. I also had the idea, I don't know if you all know this, but skiing, snowboarding, skating, cross-country skiing, they're not the most accessible sports. They're just not. And those who come from underserved situations may not want to join our program because of that fear, right, that it evokes. And families who have never been to a mountain or who have lived locally and have never, you know, been up to Stratton, right? I really want to find ways to help support those families. And so within this time frame, if one of you were interested in doing like a learn to ski or a learn to ride afternoon on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon, and really go through the process of renting skis, renting a board, what that looks like, and get them acclimated with the mountain and, you know, get them up there for an hour and a half or an hour, that one might be a really powerful experience and would absolutely fall within the external developmental asset framework. And so empowerment, this is right around Thanksgiving time. This could be a perfect time for you and your cohort to do a short community service project, either at your school or within the greater community writ large. And so whatever you come up with, this could, you know, as long as they are making connections outside of self, then that falls within the external developmental framework. And so boundaries and expectations, a lot of you talked in your rep application about really having a deep understanding of the work that it takes to be a good human being. And so that, you know, setting healthy boundaries, being able to say no, you know, having a watch party about something about mental health would be something else. Yeah, Devin, question.
No, I was going to say one of the reps, Jeremy, said that he's a professional ski instructor and he would be happy to donate a day or two there to students.
Right, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And then constructive use of time. This is something that some reps were talking about, developing the habits necessary to sustain habits, right? Because it takes a while to develop habits. So what does it take to sustain habits? You know, creating a meaningful schedule that works for you. These are all things that could be offered, and I would absolutely 100% help support you in developing a lesson plan or actually coming in if necessary to help you facilitate to present the lesson plan. So this is one option. Okay. And then, so that is November, December. January, we're going to focus on stigma reduction. This is just for your knowledge. And so stigma reduction in all things. Those of you who have been part of the program before know that I am insistent upon the fact that language is incredibly important. In every single presentation I present, that we use person-centered language all the time. It's incredibly important, especially with this dynamic shift about the way we talk about people who grapple with substance misuse disorders. I am a person who is living in long-term recovery from a substance misuse disorder, but I can call myself an alcoholic. And so we ask those individuals who are part of our program to really try to use that language shift, especially reps. And so, we don't say drug abuse anymore, because abuse really has negative connotations, person central first. And to that end, we really want to focus in January about stigma reduction, not only stigma surrounding substance use and misuse, but mental health, in the stigma, in the very least, of asking for help. And so what we are endeavoring to do is working with the local Turning Point recovery centers, and we are going to be creating a series of videos, instructional sort of PSAs on how youth can engage youth in this work, how doctors can speak to people who are in recovery, how we can reduce workplace stigma, and then also how educators can speak to students who might be grappling with substance misuse, or have a friend who's grappling with substance misuse, or a family member. And so this is all in the works. If this is something that interests you, this could definitely be in lieu of presenting an actual event in November, December, or February, because we do need people to sort of work on this. So if stigma reduction is something that is in your wheelhouse or of interest, please just let me know, and we will make it happen. But yeah, go ahead, Meg. Yeah. All right, and last but not least, event number 5, internal developmental assets. So what is within you that helps you to be a happy, healthy, productive person? And so broken those down: commitment to learning, positive values, social competencies, and positive identity. We have 2 presentations already lined up. One, a former collaborative employee talking about just creating an LGBTQ friendly event. Patrick Murrow presented for us last year about creating safe LGBTQ spaces. And it was a really powerful presentation. We had a lot of caring adults audit the class anonymously, just to sort of seek some insight into what their youth might have been going through. And this was, again, in direct response to what we knew our community needed based on survey results. And so also we are working and continue to work with an intern from Kenyon College, my alma mater. And we have a psychology major who is going to do a presentation about the intersection of chronic illness. She's a type 1 diabetic, and opioid use in athletics, which should be a really interesting presentation. And so if you, and a lot of you, it was so amazing, fell really the events that you were willing to sort of talk about, and the vulnerability with which some of you were willing to do a lesson around some pretty traumatic things that had happened to you, falls well within this. Any sort of story of resilience, how interpersonal, sort of how you were able to rise above with the stuff that you have within you is really sort of critical and falls within this framework. So this would take place in February, and falling. We have ski week that week, President's Week break, but anytime during the month of February, these lessons could take place. All right, so rep requirements. So attendance this year, you are going to take attendance for your in-person event in October. That is going to be put on an attendance document, and I will determine the best way to sort of get attendance to you. I think by school is still the sort of best way to do that, so that there's no messing around with people's rosters, but we'll determine that in a little bit. The October meeting is where you will be unfolding the program requirements for the year, 40 developmental assets, and really sort of assessing what it is that your youth need. What do they want out of their year? Between your cohort team, the 2 of you, so Sarah and Michael, between the 2 of you, you will come up with one lesson that you will either do actually at Dorset or virtually. And if it is a virtual experience, then it can be open to other middle schoolers to attend. And so you would pick a developmentally appropriate virtual or actual lesson that you would either do with your Dorset kids, or you would just offer a virtual option, in which case MEMS students could attend, etc. You will be asked to support and attend the kickoff event on the 26th. It would be awesome if you could be there in person, as it were, but we understand that things come up and that might not be a possibility. The recording will be available it would be great if you could watch that. And then also to support and take attendance at event number 4, which takes place in January. We don't know if that's going to be virtual or actual, but there would be a virtual option if it was actual anyway, because we want to offer that flexibility to our family. And then lastly, and communicating with families, et cetera, making sure that, you know, you're reaching out to students if they're falling behind, and just establishing that rapport and relationship with them. And so, you know, representing the program is really key, and the way we speak about the program is really important. And, you know, we've done a lot of work over the last couple of years to sort of shift the culture of the program. And it's become something, you know, based off of the feedback, which I don't think is a lie, that people really respect and enjoy. And, you know, despite a lot of challenges last year, we were able to deliver this program with 25 community stakeholders and 26 reps to over 330 students, and 83% finished with all 5 events. So it was pretty remarkable what we were able to accomplish. And so, you know, we wanted to go back to completely in person this year. It's not going to happen right now. And so what we can do is we can ask that you are in person at your own schools. And if you would like to offer that virtual, extend that virtual option to other RTU participants. And so these are just dates that I have set aside. So for event number 3, which is focusing on those external developmental assets, I am having 2 substance misuse education lessons. If you are a middle school rep and you would just prefer for your kiddos to go to these lessons, that is absolutely fine. I would love at the middle school level to require them to have 1 substance misuse education class under their belt for the year. Last year, we required that they had 3. This year, I think 1 would be good, especially if we are really going to be addressing those assets through the rep instruction. So I will be hosting 3 virtual experiences, actually 2 virtual experiences, the substance misuse, healthy alternatives. It would be really great if it was in person. We don't know if that's going to happen yet. So the collaborative, in the very least, in November, December, is hosting 3 events. So if you would like for your kiddos to go to that and you would like to just plan for February, that's totally fine. Or if you would like to plan for November, December, and have your kiddos go during February, that's fine as well. We will also be reaching out to other community partners, such as, you know, yoga practitioners or meditation specialists, like we did last year, to complement the programming that will already exist. So there will be lots of options for our kiddos. All right, we're done. And so just if you could get your dates for your October lesson to me. That's your in-person lesson where you're going to be outlining the program, event number 2, to me by the 20th at close of business. That would be really awesome. That's Monday. Please be there at the kickoff event on the 26th from 4 to 6. And then really consider and absolutely go through this slideshow if you want to, what kind of lesson you might be willing to facilitate, either for your kids in person or virtually, to offer it for anybody who wants to attend. And I would help support you and be there and, you know, help take attendance and all of that, either within the external developmental assets or internal. And then if you would like to join sort of our planning committee for stigma reduction in January, that would be great. I'd really love it if you could get your ideas about what kind of class you are prepared to teach. If you are, by October 1st, I will send out an email about what that will look like and what information I would need to be able to put that on the calendar, the RTU calendar. You will not have to put dates on the RTU calendar. I will do that on my end. And then we will figure out a way to make sure that attendance is clear for you, so that you can take attendance not only for your own kiddos, but in the event that you host a virtual event. If, say, Michael, a student from MEMS shows up, how are you going to access those attendance records? So we'll make that clear for you. In the past, I have done different spreadsheets for different schools. Some people like that, some people don't. So I will definitely receive any feedback in regards to how our attendance records are taken. But I will always share the documentation that you need with you. I highly suggest somewhere within your work situation or, you know, personal situation, you have a refuse to use folder for this year. just for ease. And everything really is through Google Doc. So that's that. Questions? Oh, Bonnie was here. Oh, good. Okay. Does anybody have, yeah, Jeremy?
Yeah, so the only expectation for the 26th meeting is attendance. We don't have to plan any programming or anything of that nature.
No, you do not. And so thank you so much for that question. It would be really, really great if you are working with the 11th grade, right, Jeremy? Okay. Yeah, it says right on your rename. Thank you. It would be great if you could reach out to every single BBA 11th grade student in regards to that. And we have 68 registered students from Floodbrook, MEMS, BBA, et cetera. And we only have 11 from Leland and Gray. And that's totally fine because registration is open until October 10th. But we want to get as many people as we possibly can to the live event, as it were, for kickoff. But again, the community is invited too. That event is on the Collaboratives Refuse to Use Facebook page. If you are on Facebook, it would be awesome for you to like that page just so you can get most up-to-date information. But the Refuse to Use Facebook page has also been updated substantially over the summer. It's a lot more organized, and the RTU calendar is available there as well. But yes, to answer your question, you are only expected to be a Hollywood Square at this event and to show up and be a presence. It would be great if we could just have a robust number for attendance. Especially since Benjamin Lerner is going to be playing, hopefully, if all is well, at Carnegie Hall in April.
Wow.
So we're like, yeah, so we're getting him at the beginning of things. And for those of you who don't know, he's the great grandson of Irving Berlin, White Christmas. So really,
question.
Yes, Karen.
So the only requirement that we're expecting of parents is the kickoff virtual. We're not doing a dialogue night of some sort that they're required to be at as well.
We will. So that's that January dialogue night, Stigma Reduction, which is just like ripe for having conversations between our caring adults and those young people, because there's probably a lot of different viewpoints that exist with that age difference, right? And the ways in which our youth today are approaching mental health versus the way their caring adult may be approaching mental health. And so I think the topic of stigma reduction is a really important one. And I think, Karen, and I know that you believe in dialogue night and the actual talking of it. So we want to, even if it is virtual, to insist upon that sort of small group, even if we need to do small breakout rooms, to insist upon that instruction, right?
So could you go back to when you're not going back to your slideshow or whatever to fix that date for September 20th, Saturday, blah, blah, blah. Could you go into your slideshow and write next to that number, whatever January 1 it is, that's a parent teen event?
Yeah.
So that it's right there on the screen that everybody realizes that's a parent teen event, because I wasn't up to speed on that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so what is required of parents, if you have caring adults who are asking, is that they attend the kickoff event with their scholar. Now, are we going to be able to 100% prove that is happening? No.
Right.
But we can hope. And they also needed to answer the registration questions together. We had 4 questions that we posed.
Those were nice. Yeah.
To our caring adults. And we are really sort of basing our programming in a responsive way to a lot of the answers that we're receiving in real time from our families, because I think it's really important for us to assess where our families are now and meet them there and bring them up, as opposed to sort of lifting up programming, which is kind of like, I don't know, just not genuine. So I think responding in real time is really going to be important. And this is the opportunity in October for you to talk to your scholars and say, how are you doing? How's this year going? What is something that really is of interest to you that you are hoping to gain from this program? What is going to pique your interest, right? So I don't know, but I will change that information. Thank you, Karen, for that pushback. I appreciate it. Okay, Sue. Meg,
question.
yeah, hi, Sue. Yes.
Did I see somewhere that the 23rd is an information night? Did I
Yes.
miss? Okay. I did
And
cut
that's
out
not
for a minute.
required for you all to attend at all. That is just an informal information night that is open to anyone who is interested. I've had a couple people reach out to me for the link. So if you have families who are interested, just tell them to email me and I'll send them the Zoom link.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Cricket, I would love for like crocheting to be a lesson, to be honest. Bonnie, do you have any questions? Thank you for being on board this year.
Sorry, my phone was making a racket and I didn't want to turn my microphone on till it stopped.
No, you're good. You're good.
I don't think I have any questions yet. I had a bunch of questions, but your presentation clarified some of them. So now I can sort of do some planning with LP.
Okay, that's awesome. Michael and Sarah, you guys are the Dorset reps. Thank you so much for jumping on board this year, you know, being new to the program. Sarah is a former parent. Michael, you're a parent, yes, too. So you know the program from that end. So thank you so much for jumping on board and stepping up and being on this end. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking over and helping out Michelle this year. Cricket, I'm really looking forward to working with Amy. She seems right on. And then Nicole, thank you so much. Audrey is all set with her rep stuff, so looking forward to working with her. And Meg, if you have any questions, this presentation was recorded and you absolutely 100% can reach out with any questions. Really appreciate you guys. This is not easy work. It's not easy work.
Natalie, once you make the updates that people have commented on, are we going to get, will we have access to this presentation in the Google Drive?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to put it up on the website too.
Wonderful. Just so we can go back and refer to it as needed.
Yeah, sure. And I'm going to be creating, so this is a rep specific presentation. I'm going to be creating one for info night as well, which is sort of really caring adults and scholar specific. And then we will also make sure to upload anytime anybody can't come to an event, we will always upload the resources that are associated with that event. So any presentations, any recordings, what have you. So there's really no way that a scholar can't make up the work. It is not the days of old where if you didn't make an event in person, you couldn't get your pass activated. That's not what we're doing anymore. So there is always a way to make up an event. And if a scholar is sort of like, I don't know what to do, just tell them to email me. Just tell their caring adult or them to email me and we will figure it out. It doesn't need to fall on you. You do not need to do makeup events. So if a scholar in your cohort, Michael, comes to you and is like, I can't be there any of these times and none of these virtual things work and I just can't do it. But you know what, you don't need to do a makeup event. You just say, okay, get in touch with Natalie. You guys can figure it out. Okay, because I don't want that work to fall to you. That's too much. That's too much for you all. So just refer them to me and we'll figure it out. Anything else? Really appreciate you all so much. This is not required. And, you know, at a time when a lot of people are incredibly burnt out and when a lot of people are taking a step back from volunteerism, you all have stepped up and it is work worth doing. And I appreciate your feedback greatly. And if you have anything to offer, any advice or any thoughts, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I'm just really grateful that you're on board. I care deeply about this work. I come to it honestly. I come to it earnestly. And I believe that the youth in our community can help them make healthier decisions if we do the work and do the work well. So thank you. Thank you. If you would like to stay on for a little bit, I can be available.